What is Black History Month? Did you know that every February, Americans celebrate the achievements of African Americans throughout history? This special month of reflection is called Black History Month. And today, we are going to learn more about what it is and why we celebrate it every year. You have probably heard the names Martin Luther King Jr., Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and Ruby Bridges before, and learned about their roles in the civil rights movement. You have also probably learned about Harriet Tubman's courage during the Civil War and her role in the Underground Railroad. But the history of African Americans in the United States has not always been so available, which is why Black History Month is so important. To understand more about the origins of Black History Month, we have to go back in time, way back to the 1600s. In 1619, European colonizers brought 20 enslaved Africans to the mainland American colonies, and many historians believe that the practice of enslavement in the region began even earlier, dating back to the 1500s. Regardless of the exact date, the arrival of enslaved peoples in what would eventually become the United States began one of the most tragic periods of American history, a period of over 200 years when African Americans were enslaved by white people. And even when enslavement or slavery was officially abolished in the United States, racism and inequity continued. Because of this, as the years went on, few people studied Black history. School textbooks did not even contain information about it. Can you imagine having a whole section of history left out of one of your textbooks on purpose? You would miss out on learning a lot of important information that you should know. Something needed to change. In 1915, an African American historian named Carter G. Woodson made it his mission to begin to document Black history. Born in 1875 to formerly enslaved parents, Woodson graduated from Harvard University with a doctorate degree in history. He eventually became a faculty member at Howard University. While there, he was banned from attending annual conferences held by the American Historical Association because he was Black. He realized that the mostly white Historical Association had no interest in giving Black people credit for advances in science, technology, education, engineering, and other fields. Woodson wrote, "You must give your own story to the world." And that is what he tried to do. In 1926, Woodson started the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, declaring the second week in February as Negro History Week. Here is an interesting fact. The association chose the second week of February because of two very important people's birthdays, Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln. Why these two? Well, they both were instrumental in the abolishment or ending of enslavement in the United States. Born in the early 1800s, Douglass was born enslaved, but escaped to New York City in 1838. He became an abolitionist, meaning he wanted to end the practice of enslavement. He met with Abraham Lincoln many times and may have influenced Lincoln's ideas about enslavement. In 1863, President Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed all enslaved people. 50 years later, in 1976, President Gerald Ford proclaimed that this week-long celebration of African American history be expanded to a month, which is why we now celebrate Black History the entire month of February. Black History Month continues to be important because it is a vital window into the past, and because it gives representation to a group of Americans who still face discrimination and marginalization even today. To quote the words of former President Barack Obama during the National African American History Month, "We recognize these champions of justice and the sacrifices they made to bring us to this point. We honor the contributions of African Americans since our country's beginning, and we recommit to reaching for a day when no person is judged by anything but the content of their character." What are some ways that you can respectfully celebrate Black History Month? And what are some ways that you can be an advocate for equality and justice?
Hope you had fun learning with us. Visit us at learnbright.org for thousands of free resources and turnkey solutions for teachers and homeschoolers.